everyone, so today we're going to be making a swimsuit, and just a side note, I was trying to make this swimsuit in the picture here, but couldn't manage to get the underwire glued together or figure out like a different way to do it. So if you can figure that out or make it work for yourself, I'll have sort of like a split tutorial in here where it's like how you do the V shape and then how you do the shape that I did. So moving on to the tutorial, you're going to need a bra and panty block, and I'll leave the links down below. I just can't show how to draft them in my videos because of copyright issues. So you're going to take your bra bridge / wing block and draw a line separating the wing and bridge as shown, and then add 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. For the swim bottom front, we're going to take the panty front block and we're going to mark down 1.5 inch, then another 1.5 inch down from that mark, and then connect the bottom mark to the crotch with a curved ruler. You can use a hip curve or like a curved ruler. I know that you can print off curved rulers online, so that's a good idea if you don't have any. And then add 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around except for at the center front, because we're going to be cutting it on the fold, so we don't need seam allowance. Moving on to the back, we're going to mark down 1.5 inch and up 1 3/8 inch from the bottom of the side. And again, you're going to connect the top mark to the center front and then the bottom mark to the crotch with curved rulers, or you could just lightly mark it out and then use a straight ruler to like smooth things out. And again, add 1/2 inch all the way around except for center back. Take the bra cup blocks and draw a line down the centers, just of each. Cut down the top and up on the bottom cup, leaving a hair attached as shown in the video. And then you're going to tape the cups together, overlapping and matching at the corners. And you'll have 2 new darts in the center. One is smaller, one is bigger. We're going to keep the bigger dart. And you might not need to follow this step if you follow the link I leave down below. I'm pretty sure the one I use already has this shape, so you can just alter the shape around if you need to change it. Trace all around the new cup, excluding the small top dart. Smooth it out where the dart opening was. And then add 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around. Now you're going to punch the dart leg notches or cut them in like a little triangle shape and just poke where the dart tip would be, just so we can mark it on the actual fabric. Measure around the cup to make the wire casing. You're going to double that measurement and then add a few inches. The width of that is 1.5 inch. I was still making this V style, so I ended up making it like a couple inches longer, and I'll show you how I make the V shape and then how I take it away. Just make sure to make it like a couple inches longer if you are doing that. You're going to cut out a lining piece for each piece you cut out of the self, except for the underwire casing piece. So just think if you're cutting a self piece, you're going to cut the lining piece for it as well. start sewing, we're going to pin the dart closed on both lining pieces and self on the cups. Pin the crotch right sides together. Repeat this step on the self fabric as well. I didn't adjust the width of the crotch for the back because it was pretty easy to fix later on, but you can match the width of the crotch before cutting or sewing if you want to. I just didn't want to, cut out more paper and do all that stuff. So I had some issues sewing the lining to the self here with the bottoms. So I finally figured out that I could sew along the waist and the leg holes, leaving the sides open, so just like the tiny hip side areas, and then turning that inside out. I would have showed it more clearly and showed myself pinning, but it just didn't work out. Make sure to sew the side seams right sides together after you turn it inside out. We're going to trace the cup pattern on foam, then sew the dart closed by holding it closed and zigzag stitch over top of it. Pin the bridge pieces right sides together. Sew only along the top and bottom edge of the bridge. Trim 1/4 inch of the seam allowance and turn it inside out. Fold the broadcloth, one for each wing, just on the edge of the wing. Pin the lining and self cups right sides together and sew along the top, leaving bottom open. Turn it inside out. Now I did this kind of out of order, but just trim 1/4 inch of the foam cup because we just need to take away the seam allowance. You don't need it there because it's going straight into the cup. Now I left the part where you attach the strap open, and I would just suggest sewing that closed while you're sewing along the top. And then you're just gonna pin the actual self and lining to the bottom of the cup so it's all flush together, and then sew 1/8 inch all along the bottom of that. Now we're going to pin the underwire casing right sides together to the cup and fold the top edge 1/2 inch down. That's just the seam allowance at the top side. And sew that down at 1/4 inch seam allowance. This part with the width of the casing and everything I did very specifically, so if you follow any measurements specifically, then just follow the casing and the seam allowance for sewing on the casing. Then you're going to fold 1/2 inch seam allowance in and down and pin that, and then I just sewed along the top at 1/8 inch, maybe less, just away from that middle seam, and then you're going to do it to the other side so you can slide the wire through. If you don't sew it on both sides, the wire tends to push into your skin more and it's just uncomfortable. So if you want the V-shape, here's the next few clips. I'll just let them play and come back after that. So you're going to cut the straps and the measurements will be here on the screen. And you're going to turn the straps inside out. Then pull the long strap through the slider, fold about a thumb's width over the bar it went through, and then sew that down. I'll try to leave a link down below of like how to make bra straps because I feel like I didn't film this very well. I was just kind of like excited to finish it. That always happens, and I end up filming later and not getting like the best clips, but I'll make sure to like leave a link for you guys. Now you're going to slide the long strap through the ring and pull the strap through the middle bar of the slider, leaving a few inches hanging over. Next, loop the small piece through the other end of the loop and sew each end of the strap to the cup and wing. I used a stretch twin needle top stitch around the waist and leg openings of the swim bottoms, but you can just use a zigzag stitch. And make sure you use a stretch stitch needle when you're sewing all of this. It makes like a huge difference. So now onto removing the V shape that I did. I'm gonna fold them down and overlap the wire casing ends, sewing one over top of the other. I cut a small strap piece to finish the bridge, and the length will vary depending on you, so just put on the suit and like see how long you need it. Just cut like a longer piece and hold it there and maybe pin it. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye!